Everywhere you look, there are booby traps waiting to take away your masculine power. Just check out each and every popular Netflix show that is being promoted, or even have a look at the number of people that are being placed on a pedestal. These days, nothing runs away from the mind-power ideology of the ruling class's men, who are being brainwashed into embracing weakness. There's a very famous story about a lion that I would like you to hear. Once upon a time, there was a brutal lion who was feared by everyone. One day, the lion became obsessed with the daughter of the farmer, and that is why the farmer disliked that lion. And when he noticed that the lion had fallen madly in love with his daughter, he decided to do whatever he could to stop that lion. Therefore, the farmer invites the lion and informs him that he's only going to allow him to marry his daughter on one condition. And that is to remove your sharp claws for the security of his daughter. The lion figured out, well, it's just a small sacrifice for such a great reward I will get, so why not? The lion smacked his claws against the stone, shattering them. The following day, he runs to the farmer and informs him, I don't really have sharp claws at all anymore, now consider giving me your daughter's hand in marriage. But the farmer convinces him to do just one thing, which involves completely eliminating his sharp teeth and fangs. The lion succumbed to this condition as well and shattered off his sharp fangs, but when the lion returned to the farmer the following morning, the farmer attacked the lion and ended up killing him. At this moment, the lion may have no sharp claws or teeth in order to protect himself, and everything that gave the lion his power, he decided to freely give away all at once. Remember men, the planet you live on now is no different. There are much bigger factors in play that have clearly constructed the framework to keep you a slave to your demands and desires. And here's the brutal reality. You could keep blaming the farmer or the rulers all you want, but it was the lion at the end of the day who decided freely to obey them. Strength is the positive attribute that all men need to adhere to, whether it be in your financial life or relationship life. Every man obviously have the sense of feeling dominant, strong, and powerful, because that is who you are. All men really want a great sense of drive. So many of us lack it because we engage in habits that prevent us from becoming the strong men we aspire to be. Nowadays, men complain and whine about almost everything, spend a large amount of money on drugs, and sometimes even sincerely apologize to others for things that don't call for it. And with that said, let's look at the 5 things and habits that make men weak. Number 1. Running from failure. This one is a challenge in today's world. Many men would always prefer comfort over progress. Because progress is painful and oftentimes lies beneath failure. There's the clear example of the man who sets off to dig for diamonds. He doesn't understand how deep beneath the surface the diamond is, but he proceeds to dig and dig. At the beginning, every moment he digs, he sees just more dirt. He digs harder, and much more dirt pops out this time, but after a few hours or even several days, he achieves what he desired. So remember, men failing does not mean the end of it. If that's the mindset you have, then rest assured you will never succeed in anything, just think about everything worth having. Let's assume you set up a business at the beginning. You may just have to go through most failures while you attempt to understand the business and attract your clients, but only when you stay in the game for a long enough time and don't try to run away from those short-term failures. Do you feel yourself becoming obsessed with women at the beginning when you initiate those advances? You could come across as a weird grown man who has no idea how to interact, but your success depends on overcoming those short-term failures. This is a small price to pay for success for a strong man. We are often taught as children to be embarrassed by our mistakes and failures and to try to make up for them by blaming someone else. Oh, it's not my fault or this person is to blame, you could have said. These are the thoughts of a loser. I wish that you hear this statement and write it down somewhere, if you want. It is a weak man who blames his failure on the strength of someone else. Number 2. Making fun of others. This is a moment that not many people speak about. But as a high-value man, you never look down on those. You might have heard the example of the crab's bucket. When a crab is about to escape the bucket, others can bring it back down. If you find yourself trying to make fun of others, then remember this. You are below them. Of course, this might not mean that you should just not correct somebody for their mistake, but don't make a joke out of it. As a man, you should teach and guide your fellow men with no grudge or secret strings attached. Remember, confident and self-assured men do not even disparage others. Instead, they are there to assist and encourage them. This tip might appear to be an obvious one, but it is extremely needed, especially in today's generation. Actually pay attention to what Mike Tyson says about how social media has allowed you to belittle people without getting punched in the face for it. Number 3. Submitting to feudal laws too easily. If you would like to know the distinction between a coward and a man of high value, simple, the coward will always side with the large number, even if what they are saying is plainly wrong. What's even worse is that the coward will want the high-value man to also succumb to these bad and worthless rules and guidelines. A high-value man often examines and judges everything before deciding to follow it. In today's society, we have been brainwashed into believing that you shouldn't judge or that you shouldn't do this or that. It's possible that you're just a puppet and research center right now. Who will submit to all the ideologies and regulations they make? There's nothing wrong with obedience, but only obey what lines up with your objective mission, and above all, the law of God. Nothing is above the law of the Almighty. Ask yourself, are you a person who is easily influenced? Do you attempt to please everyone? It can be extremely difficult for some men to understand how to say no, but if you behave in reality for the first moment, you'll understand that the world won't crumble around you. I have witnessed so many men live a terrified life in marriage, like their wife is some kind of dictator. They dared not speak up or correct her. Number 4. You've got weak body language. The notion of body language is highly essential. It involves nonverbal signs like a handshake, eye contact, how you stand or walk, and how you move your body when having a conversation and hanging out with others. People can tell whether you are a strong or weak man by your body language. It makes me laugh, but their viewpoints also fall against powerful body language. They constitute so-called conditions like man-spreading to break down your masculine body language. Of course, that doesn't imply that you ought to start doing splits and make a degree-perfect line with your legs, but simply stated, be mindful about your body and hold a masculine frame. Remember that body language is undoubtedly the most effective and fastest way to prevent someone from taking full advantage of you. Number 5. Being lazy and unproductive. With your time, what time do you retire to bed and what time do you wake up? How is your day organized? What do you do when you get home from work? These are all questions you must take seriously. Don't think of them as some kind of edge quest you can have when you're free as a man who wants to drive himself to success. In each field, you need to carefully craft your day. Think about why the ruling classes have been so successful in developing the matrix, since each aspect and field has been properly planned. In the same way, think through each step of your day and consider the kinds of individuals you are associating with and the kinds of information you are consuming. If you do not have this best type of opinion in your mind, then rest. Be convinced that you have granted easy access to the matrix to penetrate you. One of the best ways the matrix makes you weak is by making you lazy. Laziness is the biggest killer of men today. As a man, you can sometimes have so many company or life-related opinions, yet you never take any action on them. If you allow it, laziness will progressively instill itself in you without your understanding. It will destroy you and stop you from moving forward with your life in an efficient way. Men, always keep in mind laziness only has an opportunity against weak men. Why? Because a man of high value quickly learns to spot it and resolve it. And always be aware of laziness and battle it off as soon as possible. Therefore, remember men. Weakness is a characteristic of today's world. Weakness is what they seek, but strength is your greatest attribute. Seek strength at each step and remember that God is your greatest strength. Well, that is all for the video. If you find it helpful, consider subscribing and sharing it with your friends.